Hi, my name's Anthony Stanislavski and welcome to this introductory video on how to use my signature Brushtracks pad by Prologix. Now it's important to know that we designed this pad first and foremost as a learning tool for your practice. It's intended to teach you lateral motions to improve your flow, sound and musicality on the drums. So a couple of points before we get started. If you run your fingertip along the tracks, you'll notice that they are slightly raised on the pad. So if you hold your brush at an angle of around 45 degrees or more, they'll get caught. But this is also very similar to a coated head. Either way, hold your brushes at a low angle and make sure you sweep along the tracks, not up and down. To get started, you want to put the pad on a 14-inch snare or on top of a 12-inch Prologix pad, and make sure the thumb notch faces you. On the pad, you'll see two right-hand tracks, a top and a bottom track. And we're going to begin by playing outward sweeps on each track, starting on the bottom one. This will eventually form a quarter note groove. We'll next sweep inwards and outwards with the left brush, making sure not to lift off the pad. When you put both hands together, what usually happens is that both hands sweep at the same speed and end up crashing into one another. To avoid this, think about sweeping the right brush twice as fast as the left, so that when the right has swept from one side to the other, the left will only be halfway. Now the most important process in all of these patterns is to remove the pad and play the same movements on the snare head. You'll want to focus on creating a really smooth legato sound. Now this pattern fits perfectly with jazz ballads. Let's try it with this backing track. We're next going to work on an eighth note groove. The only difference with this one is the right hand adds inward sweeps on every offbeat. You also change track on every offbeat. Let's now add the left brush back in and add an accent in the right hand on beats 2 and 4. Now what usually happens when trying this one for the first time is that it gets confusing to know where the brushes are meant to be at any given beat. So it may be a good idea to think of moving the brushes very mechanically like this. Once you get the hang of this, gradually smooth out the movements and focus on changing the sweep direction in the left brush just after the on beats. This groove works well in many acoustic rock or pop songs. Let's give it a go with the backing track.
I'm waiting at the doorstep, I'm finally home. I've been gone for too long. Standing here a while just to take it all in.
eighth note pattern also forms the perfect template for bossa novas. All you need to do is play a bossa accent pattern over the foot ostinato. To play a swing groove, all we need to do is play the eighth note pattern, remove the offbeats on 1 and 3, and swing the remaining offbeats on 2 and 4. We're next going to work on a shuffle groove, and it's based off a pattern called the One Direction singles. The right hand plays short inwards taps that dig into the pad on every on beat on the bottom track. The left hand plays what I call fish hooks, which are essentially short sweeps that don't leave the pad. These are played on every offbeat. When joining the hands together, keep the sweeps very short and punchy. Let's now add some backbeats. The last pattern I'm going to show you is called the Two Direction singles. It's the trickiest pattern to get the hang of, but it's also the most versatile. You can use it in swing, blues, rock and funk, and it makes jazz comping so much easier. So make sure you stick with it, it's a good one. We'll start by playing very short outwards and inwards sweeps on the bottom track as eighth notes. The left brush does exactly the same, but on the E's and R's. When putting the hands together, make sure you don't cross these tracks, as it's very easy to get the wires tangled up. Let's now add a backbeat on 2 and 4. And now we'll play along to this funk track. As I mentioned before, this pattern works great in swing as a template for comping and even melodic interpretation, but there's a lot of work involved and I don't want to overwhelm you today. Once you've got the hang of these first few patterns and you feel like you want to take the next step, you've got a few options. You can hop on over to my YouTube channel where there is a whole bunch of free brush lessons. You can buy my book Phrasing and Freedom with Brushes, or you can check out my newest online course Brush Grooves on Demand. All the links are in the description below. Thank you so much for picking up my signature Prologix Brushtracks pad and watching this video. I hope you've got many takeaways from it and good luck with your brush playing.